She was halfway through cutting my chain when I stepped out of the garage. "Hey! What do you think you're doing?" I shouted. Karen didn't even flinch. She stood there, bolt cutters in hand, her sunglasses sliding down her nose. "This Jeep is parked illegally on HOA property. It's being impounded." I pointed at the driveway beneath my feet. "This is my property, Karen. You can't just—" She cut me off with a smirk. "The HOA board says otherwise. And as the acting president, I have the authority to remove it." That's when she yanked the lock off and tossed it aside like trash. My Jeep, a black reinforced Wrangler with tinted windows, sat gleaming in the sun. She didn't even notice the Special Task Force insignia discreetly etched into the bumper. "You have no idea what you're doing," I said quietly. Karen rolled her eyes. "Oh, please. You think your toy truck scares me? The HOA rules are the law here." She hopped into the driver's seat as if she owned the thing. I took a slow breath, my pulse steady. This wasn't the first time someone had tried to push me around. But it might be the last time she ever tried. I reached into my pocket, my thumb brushing over a small metal badge. "Karen," I said, stepping closer, "I strongly suggest you get out of my vehicle before you make the biggest mistake of your life." She laughed. Actually laughed, like I was bluffing. But she was about to learn that the Jeep she was trying to steal wasn't just any Jeep. Karen gripped the steering wheel like she was already in a police chase. "You can't threaten me," she said. "I know the law." I almost smiled. Funny. So do I. Before she could respond, two SUVs rolled up to the curb. Their matte black paint reflected no sunlight, their tinted windows hiding the faces inside. The hum of heavy-duty engines filled the quiet street. Karen froze. Who are they?" The passenger door of the lead SUV swung open. Out stepped Agent Morales, vest on, sidearm holstered, eyes locked on the Jeep. "Sir, is this the vehicle?" he asked me. "Yeah," I said. "She was trying to drive it off." Karen's head snapped toward me. "Wait, you called the cops?" Morales chuckled, shaking his head. "Ma'am, we're not local police." His voice was calm, almost too calm. "You're sitting in a federal task force vehicle." Her smugness drained instantly. I didn't know." I stepped closer to the Jeep window, leaning in until we were eye level. "You didn't ask. You just assumed. And now, you've put yourself in a very dangerous situation." One of the other agents moved around, to the back of the Jeep, pulling out a body cam from the storage compartment. "We've got the whole thing on video," he said. Karen swallowed hard, her hand slowly leaving the ignition. But it was too late. The agents were already moving in. "You're coming with us," Morales said. Karen's voice cracked. "On what charge?" I smiled, letting the moment hang in the air. Trespassing, destruction of property, and attempting to steal a federal vehicle. Karen's face went pale as two agents opened the Jeep door and guided her out. "This is insane!" she shouted. "I'm the HOA president. I have rights." Morales didn't even look at her. "You had rights until you crossed the line into a federal investigation." Her eyes darted to me, desperate. "Tell them this is a mistake. You know me." "Oh, I know you," I said, my voice low. "You've been harassing everyone in this neighborhood for months. Fines for lawn height, threats over mailbox colors. But today, Karen, you picked the wrong driveway." One of the agents started reading her rights, but she kept trying to talk over him. "I didn't know it was government property. I thought it was yours," I cut in. "Like everything else you claim?" A small crowd had gathered at the end of the street, neighbors peeking from behind hedges, phones recording every second. Mrs. Ramirez from across the road whispered loudly, "Finally," while someone else muttered, "About time she got what's coming." Karen jerked against the agent's grip, but they didn't flinch. This isn't over, she screamed. I just raised an eyebrow. For you? Oh, it's definitely over. The agents loaded her into the back of the SUV, and Morales handed me a card. We'll need you to make a statement later. And good thing you were here. If she had driven that Jeep off, we'd have a much bigger problem. I nodded, glancing at Karen through the tinted glass. She was still yelling, but her voice was muffled now, just background noise to the sweet sound of justice. What she didn't know was this wasn't the only surprise waiting for her. As the SUVs pulled away, I slipped my badge back into my pocket and walked toward the garage. But just before I could close the door, Morales's voice came through my earpiece. She's already talking, he said, and you're gonna want to hear this. I paused. Talking about what? Your Jeep wasn't her only target. She's been running her own little operation, selling access to HOA properties, handing out fake fines, even collecting cash. Settlements from new homeowners. She's got bank accounts to prove it. A slow grin crept onto my face. So she's not just a petty nuisance. She's a thief with a business plan. Exactly, Morales replied. And we just got permission to dig deeper. Think you can help us connect the dots? I glanced back at the street. Neighbors were still standing there, whispering in shock, some clearly relieved. Karen's kingdom had just started crumbling. But if Morales was right, we weren't even halfway through the story. Oh, I'll help, I said. In fact, I know exactly where she keeps her HOA files. Morales chuckled. Then let's finish this tonight. By the time the sun dipped low, we were at Karen's pristine white colonial house, armed with a warrant and more than a little satisfaction. Inside, the place looked like an office pretending to be a home. Rows of binders, boxes of envelopes, and, in the middle of the dining table, a fat stack of cash held together with a gold clip. One agent let out a low whistle. Guess HOA dues have been profitable. I picked up one of the envelopes. Inside was a violation notice demanding $2,500 from a family who'd moved in just last month. Except it wasn't on any official HOA letterhead. She's going to prison for a long time, I said quietly. But what we found next in her locked filing cabinet made everyone stop in their tracks. Inside the cabinet, beneath layers of neatly stacked HOA documents, was a black folder marked only with a red X. Morales slipped on gloves and opened it. The first page was a spreadsheet, names, addresses, phone numbers, and notes in Karen's handwriting. Some were marked with stars, others with dollar amounts. What is this? An agent muttered. I leaned over, scanning the list. These aren't just neighbors. These are targets. The deeper we dug, the worse it got. Copies of fake liens, forged signatures, even photographs of people's homes with arrows pointing to violation points. She had planned months of harassment, all to squeeze cash out of homeowners too scared or uninformed to fight back. But then tucked inside the back sleeve was something that made my stomach tighten. A photo of my wife standing in our driveway. Across the picture, in thick red marker, she'd written, "Remove." Morales' jaw clenched. She planned to come after your family. That was it. No more games, no more letting the system take its slow course. I turned to Morales. I want her hit with every single charge we can stack. Fraud, extortion, stalking, impersonating law enforcement. She doesn't just lose her seat on the HOA, she loses everything. Morales nodded. Already in motion. She's in holding now, but after this, she won't see the outside for a long time. I looked down at that photo one last time before sliding it back into the folder. She thought she could scare people into obeying, I said, my voice low but steady. Let's make sure she never gets the chance again. What Karen didn't know yet was that her public humiliation was only just beginning. By the next morning, every major news station had the story. Drone footage of Karen being led away in handcuffs played on repeat, her face frozen mid-scream. Reporters called it the HOA sting operation, and neighbors, who had been silent for years, were suddenly lining up to tell their stories. Mrs. Ramirez was on the evening news, holding up a stack of fake violation letters. "She fined me $500 for having a non-compliant welcome mat," she told the camera. "Turns out she made the rule that morning." The HOA board tried to distance themselves, but the evidence was too clear. Karen had been running her scam in plain sight, and they'd either ignored it or helped cover it up. Several members resigned on the spot. Morales called me later that day. "We've got her arraignment tomorrow," he said. "Judge is already talking about setting bail sky high. Oh, and you might want to check the HOA website." I pulled it up and couldn't help but laugh. In place of the usual smug welcome banner was a single message. "This site has been seized by the federal task force as part of an ongoing investigation." Karen's little empire had officially collapsed. That night, I sat on my porch, Jeep parked proudly in the driveway, watching the neighborhood finally feel free. No one looking over their shoulder, no one afraid to plant flowers or paint their shutters. My wife stepped out with 2 mugs of coffee. "Think she's learned her lesson?" she asked. I took a sip, smirking. "She'll have plenty of time to think about it. 20 years, give or take." Somewhere in the distance, a siren wailed, but here, it was quiet, peaceful, and for the first time in months, this street finally belonged to the people who lived here, not to Karen.